Chauncey, this is my wife, Natalie. See up here, this is us up here.
Okay.
Move over. So
Hello, Natalie. Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
how you doing?
Good.
I lived in
good.
Oregon when I was a kid.
All right. Whereabouts?
Albany, Oregon.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
first grade to fifth grade.
Right. Well, it's beautiful out here. We don't ever want to leave. I mean, we're just gonna stick it out. We're gonna fight through it.
Yeah. All you can do, if you love the area is beautiful.
Yeah. It's nice.
It really is.
So, tell me about your granddaughter.
She's 8 years old.
No, she'll be 9 in a month.
Well, she's 8 years old now. She'll be 9 July 3rd. So coming up on 9. We've got her in a charter school, which is called Epic Charter Schools, and it's been okay.
No, it's been terrible. Flat out. She's been in these what it virtually is homeschooling, which we had her with a private teacher that was doing through first grade, and then we went and she was doing the Epic with her at this little school, and then we put her in the Epic at a regular school. We thought, well, with the teacher, and so they had a teacher, but they were still doing the virtual stuff, and that didn't work out so good. So we were going to move her into public school this year, but of course with COVID it didn't happen because they weren't having public school. So we said, well, if she's going to do virtual school anyway, we'll just do a virtual school with the teacher like we did before, but we put her up to one that was closer to our house. And basically she didn't pass third grade.
Yeah.
She's going to be held back. And if any year to do it, this would be the year. And she's on the younger side of the third grade anyway. So we figured, well, that will have to happen because she has not, she does the Epic stuff. I did it all last spring with her, and I've done it the bulk of this year with her whenever she's not at school. And it's she doesn't have a good enough work ethic for me. I have to stay on her. And even the teacher at the school says that she'll sit there and be doing her stuff and start spacing out and go off into some dream world or whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stay focused.
Yeah.
But so you have to be, she can't just be left in somewhere to do, okay, here's your assignments, go through blah, 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 and do them. Because when you get through, in between things, she'll be finding, she'll get up and go get a snack, or she'll go get a toy, or she'll make the toy be a part of the.
She gets distracted easily.
Part of what she's doing, like sitting over there doing, okay, let's play math skills. No, you're supposed to be learning the math skills. And so she basically doesn't have the math skills she needs or the reading level. So, and when you give her stuff to do outside of the computer thing, she doesn't do it either. I'll tell her to go do it. The next thing I know, she's out down at the shop with Russ. So,
I'm her buddy. She likes to play.
He likes her grandpa. She likes her grandpa.
See, for her, she doesn't know that we're her grandparents. We've raised her as our own because my daughter and everything. And so we've been raising her since she was just
15 months old.
Yeah, it's 15 months old. So she has no memory or any recollection.
And she's always lived here with us.
Yeah, she's lived here with us her whole life. So, and that question of grandparents, parents is coming, as she gets older. So
yeah,
we're kind of
Natalie, I can hear the frustration in your voice and the worry and the fear. It's totally valid, and you're not alone. There's a lot of parents. I've been talking, obviously this last whole year to a lot of parents who say, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this virtual thing? My kids hate it. They're not making any progress. My daughter-in-law lives in Las Vegas. She has 4 little girls, and she used to send me pictures of the meltdowns they were having, trying to get them to do online school. It's completely unnatural, as it's completely unnatural for a child. It's just not a solution. And yet, that's the way where the public schools were. They didn't have a lot of options. So this is what we ended up with. And, the first thing I want to tell you is that I'm not here to try to talk you into homeschooling.
Yeah.
That would be like me telling you, who to marry or how many kids to have, or, any of those other personal decisions. I don't want to go there. I'm just here to inform you know, and then support you in whatever you want to do. And to tell you that there are answers. There's totally many answers to this dilemma that you're having, but it is going to require a paradigm shift for you.
Hey,
Bear, stop that.
sorry.
Dogs.
Okay.
The younger dog is torturing the old dog.
Okay. Yeah, I may have a kitty that wanders in here for a minute. Anyway, so it is going to require you to kind of think outside the box, and you're both entrepreneurs, so you understand this, and you understand that there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about something I often tell people is, you know, think about, did you ever see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A zillion
Remember
times.
remember at the end there where he's got to walk across that chasm?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that clue, and he just says, there's only one way to go here, and I've just got to have to take the first step.
Yeah.
And
Step
have to
out in
trust.
faith.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to trust this. And it never does make sense to him, you know, even at a few steps in, he still can't really understand how it's happening till the camera goes around and it shows you what's happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of, this homeschooling is kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like that. It doesn't always make sense. It doesn't, you know, it is a little bit of a leap of faith, and it's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I'm still homeschooling my grandkids. And there's many different methods of homeschooling too. There's lots of ways. There's so much curriculum out there. I mean, if you were to go and get serious about homeschooling and you went to look at homeschool curriculum, you would get overwhelmed with the number of things that you could do with your kids. I mean, the Tuttle twins, you've discovered that, but there's just a plethora of homeschool curriculum. If that's the route you want to go, where you feel like you want to do, you know, something that, you know, she's making a certain level of progress and so forth and so on. I didn't really follow that sort of thing, because to me, it was,
There's a kitty.
and there's my kitty. There's
Yeah.
my slide. My buddy.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
cute.
he's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I had a little bit different method. I went with the interest-based learning. Okay. And interest-based learning is about having a certain respect for a child's wisdom. All right. When you were a kid, did somebody plop you in front of a computer and say, you have to learn your times tables and you have to, you know, of course not. Right. You spontaneously learn. Children spontaneously learn. We don't have to teach them how to learn. Putting them in a forced environment where they have to learn certain things at certain ages.
You froze for a second.
It froze up.
Oh,
for
okay.
just a
Where did I
second.
freeze?
Uh-oh, it says your in connection is unstable. I don't know if
You
that's.
just asked me whenever if we had to memorize in front of a computer, and I was telling you that it was all memorization, and you just learned it. Just flashcards, you learned them.
And
period.
times table.
Yeah.
Right. But it was not a natural way to learn, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I memorized that. That's my way to do things. I memorized.
So you're a math. So you're a math. You like math.
I
like math. I'm good at math.
Very good at math.
Right. So we could pick a subject that you didn't really enjoy, and how you were taught, right? Can you tell me? You know, can you? Huh?
Better ask Russ one.
Yeah.
She's the braino, huh?
Yeah, she's the brainiac of the family.
Okay.
I went through the school thing with all three of my first of the kids, because I wasn't working at that time. Basically, I was at home, work all day long. So whenever they came home from school, I was the one that did all this school stuff. I went through algebra 3 different times through. I really am not looking forward to having to do it a 4th time.
Spanish, I mean, all of it. She was very good in school.
Now what do you do? 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 Like over that.
You know, when I first the couple of years before I took my kids out, and I had 6 kids. I took my kids out when my oldest was going into 8th grade. Okay. And I was pregnant with my 6th, and I didn't have good pregnancies. So, and I'm not a math person. I'm literary.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you, my parents were school teachers, so I had a lot of uphill going on right up front when I knew I had to do it. And my story why I had to do it was kind of long, but condensed version is my oldest son, who's a total teddy bear, okay, got targeted by a gang, a drug gang.
Oh, wow.
And the school wouldn't do anything about it. And they were also doing a lot of critical race theory stuff 25 years ago. Okay, when this happened, they were already doing the white man is bad. You know, they did all this Native American stuff. So I was on the school site council, and I couldn't do that to my son. I couldn't have him in an environment where that was going on. So I just made the decision. Plus, my kids are very kinesthetic learners. They're not. He'd always struggled in school, and so did my next daughter. And then my son that was in kindergarten was struggling also. So my top three were just struggling academically. And I just thought,
Chauncey, when you say kinesthetic, is that like just hands-on type learning? Yeah,
they learn by
that's
doing.
Me. That's me.
Yeah. They learn by doing. They don't do rote. My daughter was coming home in second grade with stomach aches and headaches, and she was a little bit ADHD, you know. So for her to come home and lay down in bed, I knew something was really wrong there with her. Yeah. And so, you know, I had to make this change. It just was something I had to do. I didn't have any resources. You didn't have the internet. I didn't know another family. I didn't have any idea how to do it. I just knew that I had to do it. And I was spending, like you, Natalie, hours after school, because they would send them home with packets of homework in those days. And you'd have to spend hours doing homework with them. Yeah. And I thought, if I'm just going to do hours of homework at night, I might as well just do it. You know, I might as well just do it. You know,
right.
And then maybe in the minute I did it, everything just slowed way down. And I just immediately kind of went into what do you guys, I mean, other than a 30-minute math lesson in the morning, I just set a timer and I just said, we're going to do 30 minutes math. And we had Saxon math books. And it was something that I could do because I'm not good at math, and if they could read through it. If they didn't understand it, then I could help them. I could read it and we could figure it out, you know? And that's how we went. And by the time they got to be 15, they went on into community college, and I didn't have to worry about the higher math. And that maybe answers your question about the higher math stuff. Yeah. They can go part-time. They can just go take one class. Now you can do it all online. You know, if you can get them up to the algebra level or the, you know, whatever level that they are more competent and can sit and do that for an hour in an online class, then you're home free. Yeah. And it just really depends on your granddaughter's, you know, what her interests are. It may not be necessary for her to ever do higher math.
Yeah. It is for her to graduate. She has to pass in Oklahoma, you have to pass certain math levels, like out of 8th grade and out of 11th, or you don't graduate.
Okay, so none of my children graduated from high school.
Okay.
They went straight into community college and got their associates.
Wow.
And I don't know what the laws are in Oklahoma, but there's a million paths to college. If really there's many other paths to college that that don't pass through a high school diploma.
Okay.
Now there's a trade-off for that, and you'd have to check, and I don't know what the laws are in Oklahoma, but they're probably pretty.
Froze up again.
They're probably
Okay. We had a freeze there.
They're probably fairly. You'd have to check into that as far as, but that was one of the first things I did to start calling some colleges. And I said, what is required to get into your, college, the colleges that my kids would have gone to. Mm-hmm. And I talked to people about and by the time your daughter's going into college, it's going to be much different. But I found out not only did they not have to have a high school diploma, they didn't have to take an ACT.
Wow.
And
to get into community college, you don't have to have an ACT to get into community college.
No, but I mean, getting into a university, if that's the way you feel like she's going.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this day and age, just a level of high school equivalency is not good enough to get you where you need to be. You have to have some level of college in order to even like our middle daughter Cassie. She got 2 degrees and when she even got them in, she's a school, actually, she got secondary education and triple threat theater. So she could have taught drama and all those such things in high school, but now she works at a bank.
Now she's
But all she had to
doing more.
have was she has those 2 degrees. She said, I've got 2 degrees and I got 1 teaching. And they said, okay, you're a supervisor over here in this bank, and she's making big bucks.
Just because you got the sheepskin.
You gotta have it.
Yeah.
And I want
Right.
Adyson to be,
You know,
I want Adyson to be at a level of competency where she's not reliant on anyone for her survival. I don't want her to have to feel like she has to be married. I don't want her to feel like she has to be with another person in order to make her way in the world. She wants to be able to self-sufficient and make the money that she needs to have in order to survive. That's always been my goal with all my kids.
Wise. Yeah, that's super wise. I have 1 daughter. Okay, I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter went into massage. She got her associate's degree at 18 with honors. Okay, went into massage therapy and did that for 15 years, supporting her husband. And then they divorced because he's a wacko. And now she's back in school doing occupational therapy assistant, wishing she'd finished doing that. But at the time, she just didn't have an interest in that. You know, that's not, she thought she could really make a good living at massage therapy, but it wears you out, you know?
Yeah, your hands don't survive that long.
Right. The other daughter is 26. She's 32. My other daughter's 26. And she was finished with, she served a 1.5-year mission in Texas, and was finished with her degree at 22, because she got her associates at 18 also, and then finished her degree within another 1.5 years at university. But she's in music, and she's going to do entre.
oh, is she?
Because
Cool.
she's a very, very accomplished musician, but there's no money in that, right?
Yeah.
And photographer. She does professional photography as well, but she needs something that's steady so she can do her fun things.
Yeah.
So I understand totally where you're coming from with your daughter. That's how you raise your girls. You always raise your boys that way, but you raise your girls to be self-sufficient these days.
Yeah. Not
There's
every
just
day.
no
They
other-
should.
Yeah, there's just no other sane way to do it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because anything can happen.
That's
Yeah,
true.
well, yeah,
Anything
it's
can
part
happen.
life partners come and go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
As we know, things happen now.
Right. So, like I say, you can look into homeschool curriculums that will take you through grade levels, right? And will help her to pass. And there's just all kinds of stuff like that. And I'd be happy to help you explore some of that if that makes you feel more safe in doing a homeschool type of thing. But I'm gonna sell you a little. I want to try to sell you on a concept, okay? The grade level idea is a model that was based on pre-industrial education, right?
Mhm.
It came in right about the time that factories were becoming a thing.
Right.
And that's the model we're still using. And our kids are not going to be working in factories, right?
Right.
We don't need trained factory workers that are doing sort of a conveyor belt sort of thing. So grade levels were just simply invented to train factory workers to say, you have to be able to do this at this age, and this in this age, and this at this age, or else somehow you're a deficit. You know, I mean, I would be cheeky and say, what grade are you in now? You know, you've continued to learn, but grades are not real life. They're
Right.
just a thing that pre-industrial planners figured out to help people transition from that environment into a factory environment. It's the bells, it's the subjects that are completely disassociated from each other. You know, you learn math this hour, and then you learn history this hour, and then you learn science that hour, and they're all completely disassociated from each other because that's how factories are, right? You sit in this room and you do this skill, and then a bell rings and you get to go to lunch, and then you come back and maybe you move to a different room and a few years later, and then you do that subject. And it's a very unnatural model for brains to learn and retain, right? A more natural model is for your granddaughter to be able to explore the things that are of interest to her, and she'll learn it thoroughly and forever because she has an emotional buy-in to it. But
Right.
you have to let go of the idea that if she isn't learning her times tables by the end of 3rd grade, that she's somehow behind, right?
Yeah,
She's
we've kind of all been conditioned,
been very
towards that.
conditioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been really, really conditioned to think they're behind. If they don't read
Yeah.
by the end of first grade, they're behind. If they don't learn their times tables by third grade, and they're behind if they don't get into algebra by whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
so
your program is more just tied around how Addison would learn, and then you build the curriculum on that, or
so when you tell me that she stares off into space and she can't get focused, and then pretty soon she's out with grandpa working in the shop, all that tells me is that she has no emotional buy-in and no real interest in anything that she's learning.
Yeah. There are some things she has that she will buy into, but they're not well, she does like some math, but it has to be a game kind of math issue.
Yeah.
Like Prodigy. Are you familiar with Prodigy?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's some of that stuff within the Prodigy platform that she likes, that kind of
Right.
a video game type thing, and
Right.
she'll do those.
Right. So, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if my program is simply, it's really very simple. And like I said, we just did 30 minutes of math a day. We just said that was something I felt like that they needed to build on incrementally, but I didn't care what grade level they were in.
Yeah.
And if it took longer to learn a certain skill, that's fine. So what if it takes a year to do times tables?
Yeah.
That's
if you
true.
get them, if you get them really, really good to where they really make sense in your head, and there's no point in going ahead unless you do it, right?
Yeah.
But there's no
Right.
stigma. There's no stigma attached to taking longer to learn it.
Yeah.
Either. And how much algebra are you really going to use in most things ever? Let
Rarely.
alone anything higher than that.
Yeah, really.
I mean, do you think she's going to be a scientist
No.
or a doctor? I mean, she could
Now,
go
if
into the
she
medical.
wants to do veterinary stuff.
Well, then
That's
she
what
would
she's
need more
talking
math,
about.
but guess what? She will learn it. If she
Yeah.
is passionate about that, she will get it. She will figure,
Yeah.
people do.
Yeah.
People just do. They just do. Right.
If they know it's part of a requirement for
Yeah.
them to get
If
what they
it's-
want, then they'll make sure they get it.
If it's their passion, and
Yeah.
what you do is you feed that passion right now. If she wants to be a veterinarian, you feed that passion right now.
Yeah.
And
She
she will
loves
figure
animals.
out how to get there.
Yeah.
Right. Unless she has a severe learning disability. Right.
I'm not sure that's it. I think she just, I don't know. It's just
She's
with
just
the COVID.
right now where her brain maturity is, it's just not there. She
Yeah,
just doesn't.
right.
She needs to have the why, just like we all do, right? Before she gets the how.
Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
So I'm talking the concepts to you right now. And one of the other things, Russ, you mentioned was the socialization aspect. And so socialization's that's a big chunk. It's you wouldn't be surprised that's the number one thing people worry about when you talk about homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of subcategories. So what specifically of the socialization worries you? What are the specific instances or issues that you would say?
Well, there's no kids right in our neighborhood. There's for her to go out like, okay, you can go down the street and play with so-and-so. There is no kids like that in our neighborhood, and we're not going to be moving. So that we try to put her in after school activities. I mean, she has karate 2 nights a week. She does gymnastics one night, and but when you're there, when you're doing the activities with other children, but you're not supposed to be running your mouth and becoming, best buds while you're doing it. So you're supposed to be doing the activities.
She does have some socialization there, either pre or after their classes. And I've taken her to some birthday parties with some of her karate friends. And so there is some degree of socialization with these people, but very little,
But both Russ and I both will tell you that there's we each have at least a couple of friends that we've had since middle school.
Yeah.
You have a few, I've got a few that you've had lifelong friendships with that she would not be there to create. If she's at home with me all day long or him all day long doing homeschooling, who's she going to create those lifelong friendships with?
That I'm glad you identified that, because I was saying, you're telling me what you feel like you're doing to supplement her socialization, but you didn't tell me why you feel that she's going to have a deficit. So that tells me why you feel. So you want her to be able to recreate the experiences that you've had.
Well, yeah, in a way,
Well, think about this too. When most parents that have children her age have other kids, like their friends, and then they go to their house and hang out and their kids play and that kind of thing. She doesn't. We don't have that. All of our friends have kids that are grown and gone. So that's an aspect that she will not have access to.
Well, Russ has one brother who does have a girl exactly that's 4 months older than Adyson. It's a natural birth.
Yeah.
So but still they live across the city, so they don't see each other all the time.
They get together every couple of months or so, and more in the summer because we have a pool and they come over and swim. But that's really about it.
So let me just a little bit about my history. I didn't homeschool, and my mom didn't strictly. She was a school teacher, but I lived out in the middle of nowhere and had no friends either. I spent the entire summer by myself.
Wow.
And to this day, I think I have there's one person that I kind of reconnected with on Facebook, but I even attended 6 high schools.
Yeah.
I graduated. I had 36 schools before I graduated from high school because I was an oil field brat. And so we moved around a lot.
Yeah. Her dad moved her all over the world.
I meant
Malta and
2 high schools my senior year. So one in Scotland and one in Singapore. So I don't have, and so knowing that I don't have that connection, I have a couple of friends that from here in Oklahoma that I met when I was 14 that I am now, when I came back and I established myself back in Oklahoma, we reconnected. And so we're friends now. And I actually go to the Guthrie High School reunions because I know a lot of those people from when I was there for the year and a half I was there. But I just know that when you have no connections to anybody or any place, that's a deficit. You feel like you need to have those. People need to have connections with other people to enrich their lives or whatever.
Sure, but you have connections where you have friends where you are, right?
Sure, we do.
We have a few, but neither one of us have close friends that live right by us, that we go to all the time.
Married.
That's it. We've got basically them, and then we have some other people that we hang out some with. But
So I think what I'm trying to emphasize is that even though people can go through a life where they didn't have the opportunity to make a lot of connections, and you have a few, and that's good. You can still be a very social person. You can still feel socially. You may not feel like you have the rich, long-term connections that you'd like to have, but even if you don't have them, it doesn't make you a non-social person. It doesn't make you unable to make friends. It doesn't make you unable to make connections.
Yeah.
Right. True. I mean, Natalie and Russ, probably it's because you're a little bit isolated that you don't have more social life, right? I mean, it sounds like you're out a little ways.
Well, we're in town, but we're on a
you're busy. Yeah,
your neighbors are kind of separate.
And I work nights, basically 4 nights a week, and then and then Russ does his thingies and stuff. So
sure. Yeah, you're busy, so you don't have as much of a social life as you'd like to have, but it isn't because you can't. It's just simply because you're busy right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And for myself, I'm busy too, and I have some good friends. I mean, my experience didn't make it so that I can't connect with people. And what I'm trying to tell you is the socialization thing is kind of overrated.
Okay.
I mean, it's like majorly overrated. We've been told for some reason that if we pull our children out of being with other children for 6 hours a day, that they're somehow going to become socially retarded, that they're going to be unable to connect, that they're not going to understand how to relate to other children or to people, and that they're somehow going to take that into their adult life and be like unable to function. And that is completely false. I mean, one of the things we learned in our intensive, or was reiterated to me, was that we have already built all those synapses. All that stuff happens before the age of 4.
Right.
Natalie, I mean, Adyson has she's already got it all, and she learned it from you.
Yeah.
She learned how to relate to people, how to connect to people, how to talk to people.
Yeah.
All
she's
that's
a
already
very,
done.
she's a very social butterfly. She can
Now
talk to anybody.
she
Very
may
friendly.
miss other kids. She may
Yeah.
miss other kids. And you're fulfilling that. You're fulfilling that need for her, right?
Yeah.
I would recommend, if you end up doing something like this, that you poke around in your church or whatever and just find another family or somebody that's doing this, and just find a time on Fridays that you do regular activities. Maybe they're going to the Space Museum or the park, or have them over for swimming or whatever on Friday, whatever day, Saturdays or whatever, that you have a regular thing.
Yeah.
But even though Addison she's not talking in her activities, she's having lots of interaction. And
Yeah, she is. And she taught, like, I try to get her there a little before, so she has interaction before, and then let her hang out a little bit after. So she has some interaction. She knows their names. She plays with them at these different functions.
Is she
so.
expressing like loneliness and unhappiness about this?
Well, no,
Not really,
she's
just
at
kind of
this school.
bored.
She's going to this school, even so they sit in front of a laptop all day long in a classroom, and then they dismiss them, they get recess and stuff, and they get a lunch. But it's not like a school where you have paper and pencil and all that good stuff that I call school. So she just, sits in front of a computer all day long and stuff like that. But so she is with other kids in the same room doing the same thing.
We thought it
makes me hurt.
I know.
Oh
We thought it was going to be good. It was supposed to be small class sizes, so she got more individual attention.
And then with COVID, the class sizes ballooned, because everybody was going to say, oh, if they're going to do laptop computer learning, I'm going to have it with a teacher that has to stay on her butt versus us having to stay on her butt. And that's basically what they did. So that it went from a 14 class deal, kids in a class to 25 kids in a class, just like a regular school. But she's got, has to do all these, but they just sit in front of a laptop all day. So,
and if they don't, and it has to be proactive for the kids to ask questions. If she don't understand it, she'll just hit the wrong answer and move on. It's kind of these are timed exercises.
They hit the wrong answer, and then it says, you got it wrong. And then she'll just hit another one. Oh, you got it wrong. Hit another one. Oh, you got it wrong. Oh, no, you got it right now. Okay, then move on.
Yeah, so you don't learn anything that way. It's just
you don't learn nothing.
Yeah.
She didn't learn anything.
So, Chauncey, what are we talking about with the program that you're trying to develop and put together? Is it go ahead.
Okay. So the way that it's going to sound so simple, you're going to say it doesn't work. Okay. No, but I did it. And I know lots of other people who do it too. When your child is this young, okay, the overemphasis on academics is not teaching them to learn to love to learn. Learning to love to learn is the key to real learning and to enjoying learning and to love. Learning should never be about force in my book, in my opinion. It should be about the joy of learning. And that is something they take with them the rest of their life. And all my kids, we have when we get together, we have robust discussions, because somebody will bring something up and everybody will start researching it, because they love to learn. They love it. And they love to discuss, and they love to explore all different kinds of things. This is a lifelong attitude. It's not a short-term one. Okay. Yeah. That's number one.
The school system is all about, and they teach parents, they condition parents. Okay, you got to do this. It's got to get done. All the homework, these things, taskmaster, do it or you're in trouble. And that's how, and then that's such a negative way that kids just kind of tune it out.
Yeah. And, they do what they have to do so they don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't retain anything.
So this is what my school looked like. We would go out and do chores together in the morning. Then we'd come in and have breakfast. Then we'd sit down and do a devotional. And then we'd set our timer and do 30 minutes of math, get it out of the way. If somebody wanted to do more math, they were more than welcome to do that on their own. Then we did a unit study. So we would take a great book or some subject that we would sit down as a family and say, what do you guys want to learn about? Do you want to learn about American history? Do you want to learn about, do you want to read Where the Red Fern Grows? Do you want to learn about Little House on the Prairie? What do you want to do? And then we spend the next hour hour and a half or whatever doing the unit study. So we're reading, we're doing hands-on activities, we're learning about geography, we're learning about an entire subject with everything melded into it. We do the solar system, whatever, photosynthesis, whatever they wanted to learn about, the ocean.
Yeah. So
Over the
they're
years, we
bought
did
in
all
because,
kinds- Mhm.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
bought
they're
in
all bought in
because,
because they
yeah.
want to learn it.
yeah, because they picked what they wanted to work on and they're
Yeah.
bought into it. Sure. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
our study of the solar system, for instance, ended up with painting my three sons were in one room at the time. We
Mhm.
painted their whole room as a solar system.
Oh, wow. Cool.
It was way fun.
Wow.
And
I bet that was.
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
integrate everything so it's meaningful to them. And
Yeah.
then the rest of the day was spent, we did, household chores and we did a lot of music in our home. So that we're musical people. So we did music lessons and music and sports. Both my
Yeah.
sons were runners up 6A champion wrestlers.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
so we did wrestling club and whatever they were doing at the time, volleyball, YMCA, whatever, in the afternoons. And whatever else time they had, they were just exploring. And
Yeah.
we had a couple of acres is all. But like my two younger sons got way into Lord of the Rings, and they wanted my son was just after me to become a blacksmith. So I was like, I never could get a blacksmith thing set up for him or find anybody to help him with that.
A
So
blacksmith.
he wanted to be a blacksmith because he wanted to make swords.
Like in the Lord of the Rings, that made the ring in the
Yeah.
trilogy, the guy that makes
Yeah.
the rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wanted to make swords. Like he just wanted to make swords.
Gotcha.
So he found some aluminum electrical conduit out in our barn, and
Oh,
he
okay.
started pounding it. He pounded it out and he found a grinder and he made swords out of that. And my two sons spent years and hours and hours and hours making all kinds of swords and daggers and stuff outside.
Out of conduit?
Out of conduit.
Wow. Okay. Well,
They just got inventive.
that
They
would
got
work.
inventive because they learned.
Yeah.
And to this
Huh.
day, we still get together. We watch Lord of the Rings because they listen to the soundtracks. They know everything about it,
Yeah.
and they're
Huh.
old. But so
Yeah.
it's that kind of learning. It's that kind of giving them the
Immersion
freedom.
kind of learning.
It's immersion because
Yeah.
they immerse themselves. If you let them
Yeah.
have, so it's not that you do nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's not that you do nothing. It's that you start from where they are and you integrate all learning into that thing that they're interested in, right?
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So for your concept is trying to help people integrate that into their kids, into homeschool, into how you homeschool them instead of just the
Right.
reading, writing, arithmetic thing. And
Right.
so how do is there a guide? I mean, a step-by-step that you're going to produce that we can say, okay, today let's go look at Chauncey's page and we're gonna vote on what we're gonna work on. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this is what if you want to experiment with this over the summer, for instance, I would just sit down with your granddaughter, you the two of you, or whoever you want, however you want to do it, and I say, ask what do you want to learn about,
Okay.
and just make a list. Are there
Okay.
books that she would like to read? Like one for her age, if it were me, I would encourage her to do the Little House on the Prairie unit. It's called a Prairie Primer. And it's a whole unit study. It integrates the books. I mean, you make lye soap, you do all kinds of things, and you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do the whole thing, right? You can just do a little bit. But you sit down with her and you read through Little House on the Prairie for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And you talk about it. And then that guide, that unit study guide, gives you suggestions for activities. Okay. And it's really that simple.
What's it called? Prairie what?
Little House on the Prairie.
It's a Little House on the Prairie. It's called a Prairie Primer. I should go get,
Prairie
I'm just making
Primer,
this up
okay.
it's a unit study you can buy. And if it's not available anymore, I'm sure you can get it on eBay. But let me just look at it really quick. And so that I'm not speaking out of turn.
Little House on the Prairie Primer.
And it would be wonderful for where you are because it's like she was there.
Yeah.
I am going to I mean, you can experiment with this and just see. And if the thing is, it's called the Prairie Primer, Margie Gray Little House on the Prairie Unit Study Guide. It's for grades 3 to 6. And it looks like this.
Okay. Cool.
And it'll just give you, you can pick and choose out. The wonderful thing about unit studies is you can pick and choose, if she wants to you want to learn how to make lye soap, you want to learn how to do little weaving projects or
make a pot holder.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things and that you can do or not do. She hates it, obviously there'll be cooking things. There'll be all kinds of things in there.
Yeah.
And she'll learn math through that, and she'll learn geography, and she'll learn about the Civil War, and she'll learn about
not even realizing
westward expansion.
Enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of other things you can bring into it, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one suggestion. If she hates Little House on the Prairie, then maybe she wants to learn about animals because so then what you do, like my granddaughter's 13, she's totally into animals. And she was the one that was sitting on the inner circle all the other night.
Yeah, said she wanted to do entre.
Yeah. And I said, she goes,
that.
how do I do a YouTube channel? And I said, well, what would you do it on? So we talked about it. And she says, well, I just love animals. And I said, why don't you do one on baby animals? So, I mean, because she's in a place where her mother, breeds dogs and we have baby chicks out here and, baby goats and she could just do a YouTube channel and tell people about baby animals. And kids her age would love that.
Oh yeah, they would. They'd love it.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift, Natalie. It's definitely letting go of the idea that there's these steps there's these hoops that you have to jump through in order to get from point A to point B.
Yeah. And
having the trust in your child that they will, if they learn to love to learn, that they're going to be a rocket ship. And really all I can tell you is that with my 6, and understand I didn't have a smooth perfect ride from A to B. My oldest son never was good at academics. He ended up flunking out of college. He went into the military. He finally, at 26, got his act together. He found a gal that was going to kick his butt a little bit. And now he's a lawyer. He's a very successful lawyer.
Oh, there you go.
My daughter, like I say, she went into massage therapy thinking that was going to be her career. And, but because she has the confidence that she could go back to school, even as a mother of 3, and she gets straight A's now in her program. She's got another year. So she's going to be fine. Our son, who's 30, he got a degree in served a 2-year mission into Taiwan, learned Chinese, and super, super bright kid, but just a bitter kid, all super hard to grow, to raise, a lot of drugs and problems. Finally came out, he's gay at 26. Yeah. And I was like, yay, okay, now we've got to the bottom of the problem here. And he'd already gotten a useless degree at college, straight A's, but a useless degree. And now he's going into dental school in Utah. He's finally got himself figured out, but super intelligent, just had to get over some humps. Our other son is 27, just graduated, but he's struggling through a calculus class because he hasn't taken math for years. But that was the last class he had to get for his thing, and he's sweating through calculus. But because he knows how to learn, he can pick up math 6-8 years later.
Yeah.
And he knows how to learn, so he just can double down and do it. Yeah. And then our other daughter, she's going to learn. What I'm trying to say is, don't feel like because if your daughter gets to 18, she's not a finished product, that you failed somehow. Kids figure it out. They'll be okay. If they have the tools that they need.
Yeah. They love to learn.
And all your kids went to college without having high school diplomas of any sort.
exactly. None of them got high school diplomas. None of them graduated.
Okay.
And and the school system didn't make you go back and say, okay, we know your kid is alive and exists and they need to be over here taking these tests.
So we had to take, in Oregon, we have to take competency tests. The kids have to take tests 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 10th grade.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And it's so, and there's no other oversight here in Oregon. It's different state to state, but the tests are such a low bar that
yeah,
anybody
Easy
of
to pass.
normal intelligence can pass them.
Addison
And we
didn't
ended up-
pass.
Huh?
She didn't pass 3rd grade.
Well,
With
that's
a great test, she didn't pass.
they have a different test for the homeschoolers in Oregon.
Oh,
okay, yeah, so
And
different.
and what we're talking about is, I mean, my kids would have passed grade level tests, but a lot of homeschool kids didn't pass a grade level test. Okay, they were you had to be in the 20th percentile, okay, of that grade level. Is all. So like in the school, they wouldn't have said, okay, she's passed 3rd grade. It's just, okay, you're doing enough in your homeschooling that you can keep homeschooling. It's a whole different set of criteria. And
I'll have
we
to
actually
look
had to
into it.
test, every year once they got into high school, because they were in athletics and band. So they
Yeah.
so they let them go over to the high school to participate in the school athletics. I wondered how they were doing 6A wrestling, but not at a high school. Because our kids, I've got 2 grandsons that do wrestle and kids that were in sports and stuff. So I'm thinking, how did they get into it? I'm thinking to myself, how did she get them into a 6A wrestling program and not at a high school?
Yeah,
So
no,
they
it was
just
through it was lovely because the kids could go to band up there at the same time they were doing the community college, and they could do their sports too. So they kind of did it all. They went to prom, they did all the social stuff,
Yeah.
but they didn't have to sit through the swampy crap of
So
high
how did they
school.
go to prom?
Because they're
Well,
involved in the sports, I guess. They're enrolled to do sports.
They were enrolled. They were usually enrolled in a band, or they just went with somebody. I mean, most of their friends were public school. They had some really good friends that were homeschooled too.
Mhm.
That was the other thing is my kids had this wide range of friends. They weren't just with the jocks or just with the musicians or just with the church kids, or just they had friends across the spectrum of all kinds of things. So it's interesting when I hear, the social argument. It's like my kids had were more broadly social than any other kids that I knew. Because most kids get pigeonholed. In high school, they get pigeonholed with something. And my kids didn't. They had good church friends, they had good band friends, they had good wrestling friends or whatever, and so the social was not an issue in our house ever.
Yeah. And you said, and just like you talked about, they have their social network already formed by the time they're 4. So, and she's got a pretty good personality and she's not very shy. I'll just say that.
Yeah, she'll be fine if she has, I mean, if she's complaining about being lonely. So the other thing about boredom, and we can close on this, but boredom is not a bad thing. It's a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
You actually want to create boredom in your children so that they go find something to do.
Yeah.
Because and my answer to boredom, when my kids never came up to me and said, I'm bored, because you know what I do.
Better. Yeah.
Okay, well, find something to do.
I've got some jobs for you then.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with her too. We get out here and help us plant these flowers.
Yeah.
Or, go feed the birds.
They find something to do, and it better not be arguing and fighting.
Yeah.
Right? Because arguing and fighting gets you planting flowers too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pulling weeds.
Yeah.
Pulling weeds. There was always lots of weeds.
Yeah, no doubt.
Always a chicken coop to muck out. There was always, always plenty to do that way. So yeah, I mean, just think about it. And again, my program is, I just told you what my program is. And your program is what I told you at the beginning. My job is not to talk you into something. That's not learning. My job is to inform you and to support you. And that's what you do with your kids. You inform them. And it's not that you don't guide them and you say, It's not that you can-
I will ask this question and in front of him so that I pointed out to him that if we did this, because I did my turn, I told him that if we was going to do this, it was going to be his turn. Because I've done 3 times and without help. So, and I don't mind helping, but I don't at this point want to give up the job that I'm doing. So, and so I'm not around in the afternoons, the evenings. So I mentioned to him, it sounds to me like this was your job as a person, that you stayed home with your children all day long, and that's what you did as a job. As a job, she did this teaching her 6 children. So that would have to be like a job for you. You can't go down there and say, okay, Adyson, go do an hour and a half of this right here, and I'm going to go down here and do this meeting, or do this. So you have to be available to be involved with their attention span. And that's one my biggest concern right here is that we get her into this and do that, and that he's off doing what he needs to do for this Entra stuff, and then she gets left to her own devices, and which is where she's at, which is happening now.
Okay.
And then I have to step myself back and take over, and I don't.
Okay, so the first thing I would recommend is, if you want to try this, there's 3 things I want to point out. The first thing is, if you guys took a whole year off of school, it's in the big span of her life.
Not a big
It's
deal.
not going to ruin her.
Right.
She's going to be okay. If she doesn't pass 4th grade, it's okay. She's an intelligent girl, and she'll figure it out, and it'll be fine. In the big span of her life, she's going to make the adjustments. Number 2, you are on a learning curve, both of you, all 3 of you, right?
Yeah.
So don't expect to go into this and just, bam, hit the ground running and it's all perfect and we got our system. This takes some time to understand your system and how you do it, because and it takes some time to adjust, and for her to believe and understand that her education is her responsibility. And that's a little bit of another paradigm shift. I brought my kids up with the understanding this is your life. I'm not going to live your life. I'm here to help you. I'm your mentor. I am not going to live your life for you, and I'm not going to take responsibility for you to be educated. You have to take responsibility for your own education. This is your life. Yeah. And the sooner that they get that, one concept in their head, that I am not going to make this happen for you, you have to make it happen. I'm here to facilitate and help and support and inform. The quicker Russ can go back to doing a lot more Entra, and you, Natalie, don't have to worry about your daughter. And I promise you, it will happen if you create the vacuum. Yeah. My children self-learned. They made their own decisions, and we simply set aside the time. I did a little bit with them. I was there to help them with their math, and I did some reading, but as they got older, they just did it.
Yeah.
Well, they sought out the information they needed, and they found I helped them find the resources, and they did it themselves.
Okay. So you basically helped them to find the curriculum they were interested in, help them find the resources to do the work. And then, hey, okay, it's up to you to implement that.
And that's why by the time they were 15, they were begging me to let them go to community college. Yeah. Most of them tried a year of high school or like part-time. They got, because they wanted to kind of know what that was about, because they needed to understand what they were missing out on. And they were like, man, get me out of here. I have no interest in being in high school. Yeah. If they could just go to band and go to wrestling or volleyball or whatever, then they were happy to be actually learning in a learning environment, and not just having it be a social construct thing that they had to kind of, they just didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. And it's not that they didn't have friends or didn't get along with people. They just didn't need to be in that environment to feel like they were successful. Yeah. So it's a little, just ponder in your head. If you're willing to give it a year, do a little experimenting this summer. Yeah. Russ,
I think the summer, the perfect time now is going into summer, so we can try to implement some of these things for her and help develop.
But Russ, you will have to start the ball rolling, right? You will. Yeah. This is a rocket, and you're going to have to put in some good time on this. Right. Dedicate, just say from 9 to noon. Right. That this is my time with Adyson, and the rest of the time she's got to figure out what she wants to do herself, and it's not on screens.
Okay. So can I reach out to you for some guidance
I'm
on
always
things,
here for you.
curriculum, that kind
I'm
of
always
thing?
here for you.
Okay, cool. We
Yeah.
can Voxer that or text or get on the phone,
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll do some more Zoom calls if you're going to run into problems.
Yeah, there's gonna be some issues. I can
Yeah.
tell already, but she's a smart girl. She'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
And we can talk, we can bring her on.
Yeah, that
let's
might
talk
be
about
good
stuff.
for her to meet you,
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Say this is the lady that's helping us
I'll
teach you how to learn.
Yeah. I'll reinforce everything that you're trying to, I'll just be the second. Sometimes that's really helpful to kids to have somebody that is unbiased or, kind of the expert, right?
Yeah.
Say
kind of an accountable
Mhm.
authority figure
Yeah.
for her, So, hey, I'm going to be checking in on you.
Right. I just try it through the summer and see,
Sure.
see if you like it.
We'll do that. Yeah. The little prairie primer, I'll go ahead and get those. Is that an online thing or is that something we can put on a tablet or the actual books?
You don't want to. You need to get away from the online learning. I just don't think it's
right. So
it's not healthy. It's bad for their eyes. It's bad for their brains.
So it's books. Good.
Yeah, get it. It just ordered on eBay.
Okay.
It's only $32.
Right. I'll go out and get that as soon as we get off. So we'll have
and
that
if you don't have Little House on the Prairie series, you got to get that too.
I think we have one of those. We have one of the.
It's several books. We don't have them all.
Yeah.
You can get them in paperback for cheap.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I do have a whole bunch of these series that I bought all of the books of the. It's like modern day stories based off of fairy tales. I forget what I forget what they're called. Enchanted something. But so like Little Red Riding Hood would be about a little girl now who, gets into trouble with this the bad person and this sort of thing. And so it relates fairy tales to modern day things. I've got a whole series of that stuff that could be gotten.
Yeah, I mean, I would, does she like to read? Does she like to read?
Well, she was reading, and then we got into this when she got back into the epic thing with the teacher thing. She just kind of quit.
Yeah.
So they get away from the computer. You got to get away from the computer.
Yeah, you got to. The computers, all screens need to go. I mean, this is what I'm going to be telling people that I coach is no screens.
Yeah.
Like no screens.
Yeah.
You can do a Saturday night movie or a Friday night movie or something together. Cut it.
Yeah.
Just eliminate for at least a period of time.
90% of her conversations is telling me about this person. And she goes, well, what do you think so-and-so did? And I go, Adyson, I have no idea. You're watching a TV show or whatever on the computer. I've never seen it. I have no idea what they do. And most importantly, I don't care. Tell me about somebody you really know that you've talked to that's in person, in a flesh person. And she can't really do it. So and she gets too much time on the television and on the computer.
And what that also tells me is that she's dying to discuss things with people and she's wanting to share. So find something that you guys can share, right? Together. And that's a lot of mentoring is just, you sharing together things that are meaningful. Not this weird crap that they're watching.
That's what I get out of it is she gets off on these programs and she'll start just bombarding me with it and I don't know anything about it. And I'll try to kind of carry on a convo with her.
And it'll be something silly like these zombie kids that are half the kids are zombies, the other half are high school
thing now.
It's like
it's so dumbed down when there's so much amazing literature out there.
Yeah.
And there's lists.
I've got the Rush Revere series. The 3 books from Rush Revere.
Yeah, you should really have to read that.
Yes, I bought them.
Cool.
Good stuff.
I got the horse and everything from Rush Revere. So she could have the horse.
There are lists. You could Google like top 10 or top 100 classic books for homeschool third graders, right? And there's people have compiled all kinds of great lists of reading lists, and you're gonna find, I don't know if she's read Harry Potter. Harry Potter's great.
I've got some of those.
Yeah,
Harry Potter is a great series. It's fun,
Yeah.
So if she's lost her love of reading and she's you know, you're going to cut the screens. That's another thing you would say, required reading time.
Right.
Yeah.
Aside 30 minutes, just set a timer and find something she loves. Don't force her to do something she doesn't like. You want her
Right.
to love to learn, right?
Find the books that she would want to
You
read.
find the books, and I don't care if it's animal magazines. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
You have to establish.
Yeah,
that
because she's
love
not,
of
see,
reading
that's the
again.
other reason why she didn't pass the third grade is because she's not reading to grade level.
Yeah.
Because she quit reading, basically speaking. When you go on the computer, you're not reading. What are you reading?
It's boring.
You know,
it's boring.
it's
It's
Yeah,
awful.
it's boring. That's why she
sit
zones
there long
out.
enough. Sit there long enough. That'll read it to you. You don't have to read it.
That's why
You know?
she gets zoned out. But I
Yep.
know you need to go. You probably got other. I hear
No, we're
your
good.
phone ringing and stuff. But
No, what other questions you have? I'm actually not. I don't have to go. I was
okay,
just doing
okay.
affiliate boot camp.
Okay, the you said Google the top 10. What was it? The
Yeah.
top 100 books or
Literature for kids in third grade.
Let me give you something specific to Google. Because what you're going to want to do is you might need to experiment, with stuff. Like I say, Harry Potter's always a great place to start, simply because it's so interesting, and you
Right.
can watch the movies.
Yeah, she loves the movies.
Well, I mean, she needs to get up to that level of reading
Yeah.
level. She's not at that level.
Yeah.
But she could read the books I've talked about, the Enchanted series that we have,
Yeah.
or she could read the Little House on the Prairie stuff. She could read that.
We'll get, several different options for her and get her one that she likes to read, and then she'll be more apt to do it.
Well, she needs to read the others.
There's so many. Like I wish I could go back.
Well, it's all the books that we read when we were kids, like Sounder and Old Yeller and all those kinds of
Where the Red Fern Grows, and
Yeah.
Little Rascal, and the Charlotte's Web, and
Charlotte's Web, yeah.
E.B.
She loves
E.B.
Charlotte's
White.
Web.
Yeah, do E.B. White. I mean, the
Yeah.
Trumpet of the Swan. I don't know how many times I read that book. It's my favorite book. Just
E.B.
get
White
back
did
to-
the Swan.
Hmm?
The black swan was E.B. White.
Yeah,
Is
the
that-
Trumpet
okay.
of the Swan was what it was called.
Trumpet of the
It was-
Swan. Okay.
Yeah, E.B. White books, obviously. And if you have to, it's okay if you have to start with, less complicated books. Like if she doesn't.
Yeah,
feel
she needs
confident
less
with chapter.
complicated books than.
Yeah.
She needs a chapter book. Absolutely needs a chapter book. But that's the reason why I picked these Enchanted books, because she read one and she really liked it, because she read it when we were in the car driving somewhere and she couldn't be on a computer.
Yeah.
So and then she read it and then she liked it. And so I said, okay, well, I just got them all and got it for her. And then now she just basically hasn't had the time between going to the computer school and the other activities to go back in there and pull them out. But this summer I intended to have her do reading and I got all the school flashcards. I still have a hard time giving up the fact that you have to learn basic math facts. So
Yeah.
there's your 30 minutes of math every day, doing those basic math facts.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, math. I mean, obviously a lot of people I learned math better cooking and doing quilting. I'm a quilter. So cooking was how I learned as a kid better. I didn't understand fractions until I did a lot of cooking, right? Things like that. And so, take the opportunity to make it real.
Yeah. We've got the easy bake oven thing, and I'll make her, go through the recipe and do that. So that's a little bit of math involved with that. So.
Yeah. Do the real
basic.
thing, Russ. Do a real cake. Come on.
Oh, that's
Do a
too
real
hard.
cake.
It's funny. We did one of these easy bake oven things, and it was called sparkle cake. And it was funny. We made it, and boy, it looked so good. We each took a bite, and we went, "Ugh." We still talk about that. It's funny.
Yeah. Cooking is such a great way to, it's such a great way to mentor kids. There's just kind of nothing really takes the place of cooking. I don't know how to.
Yeah, you got get in and figure out the recipe together, which is math, you know, that you're not
Yeah.
really, you're doing math, but not really, you know.
But there's this,
yeah.
they get this sense of accomplishment.
Right, right.
It's
Okay.
just, there's nothing like cooking.
Like baking a cake.
Yeah, it just feels good, right? I mean, even Michael is still posting a cake he, right? Made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
Have her make a meal. In fact, I mean, I literally would, if she has time on her hands, have her make dinner, teach her crock pot meals, teach her
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. Let her take over dinner.
Okay.
Well, like I said, you have to devote like a chunk
She'll be
of
working,
time,
so she'll be making dinner for me, so I can handle
a
it.
chunk of time that you have to devote to this every day.
Yeah.
That's
9 to noon
the
would
part
be-
that
9 to noon would be doable. For
is
sure.
not, well, probably need to be more
Natalie,
than that at first.
Natalie, I know that you are going to be so thrilled with the result of this. And you're going to be Russ's biggest cheerleader.
If he does it, that's the part that I just, he's
Just be
easily
positive.
distracted and gets back onto his own thing too. So
Yeah.
Just be positive. Go put your arm around him and say, I'm excited to see what you're going to do with
I'm excited. I'm excited.
with Ad. Yeah, I want you, when he starts doing that, you just go put your arm around him. You say, honey, I'm so excited to see what you're going to do with Addison tomorrow.
what you're gonna do with
That's right. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to see what you're going to do with Addison tomorrow.
Like I said, I did 17
learned.
years of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and I did all of the school stuff all of the time. And then now we're at our age, we're starting over again, and I just don't have the energy to
Believe me, I feel your pain. No.
So I mean, I
How
did
many
all of
years-
those things with the two. I was top of the deal with the Girl Scouts. I was the unit leader. I
How
had
many Eagle awards did you get, Natalie?
We didn't get an Eagle, but I got a gold award for Girl Scouts. Gold award, silver award, the whole bit. We did all of that. I took 3 girls through
I was
gold award
involved in that too, you know.
only because I made we had to fix
Camping
what you did. So he cannot paint. Do not give him any chore that requires anything with liquid, like a fluid, like pucky or paint or
You guys are
caulking or anything like that.
so cute.
Okay, he cannot do it. So
You guys are so cute. I know you're I know this is
my cat is flipping out over here for some reason. What's wrong with Toes? He's a polydactyl, so his name is Toes.
He's got a lizard.
Oh, get that away from him. Oh, my cat found a lizard and he's brought it into the house. He did that with a mouse already. So we had to get that mouse out of the house too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess he's telling us about it at least. So
That's
was
right.
good.
He's excited about his lizard.
Yeah, now he's mad that Russ took it away. So he's over there grabbing it. Where'd it go? But yeah, no, that's the thing that like I said, I did all that. I thought I was done, and then I just don't know if I have the energy.
Oh, I know. When my daughter decided to she and her husband separated, and then she decided to go through the divorce, I went, oh, I know what this means, you know.
Either bringing the kids to you.
I was gonna be doing the kids, and she just got remarried in December, and but she's just, yeah, I feel your pain. It's a big job, and we feel like we kind of moved on, I kind of did my thing and I moved on, and then whoops, I'm back in the saddle, and her kids are not my kids, and they weren't raised the way that I raised my kids, and they've gone through a lot of trauma. So I've been trying to undo a lot of bad thinking patterns, and it's hard because I only have them a couple days a week.
Yeah.
And if I had them 5 days a week or 7 days, I mean, if they were my kids, then it would be different. But she's still, they have to deal with the ex and all that. And it's hard. So I feel your pain. It's tough to try to.
So your grandkids are only doing the school thingy 2-3 days a week?
Well, she has classes 2 days a week right now. Well, she has them 3 days a week, but her new husband stays home on Fridays to take care of them. Plus he has 2 boys.
Mm.
So, I mean,
yeah,
just a lot of challenges. So but I only have them the 2 days, and I'm part of a homeschool group, and that's That's another thing I'm going to encourage you. If you think you do want to go.
I
into
told
this,
him that.
absolutely. I'm
homeschool
absolutely
groups.
sure that you're going to find groups that you could
There's
join.
lots of homeschool groups. And that's what I was telling him the other night. I said, because his Aunt Debbie did homeschool all her kids, and she had 8 kids. And of course she's gone. She died of cancer, but she was the kind of person that could do it, So
Yeah.
and she did, but they were part of homeschooling groups and did all the field trips and all that good junk with them. So
Yeah.
I told him, I said, that's the other thing. So you really, and you're saying 9 to 12, but technically speaking, from 12 to 3 or 4, there's still that time frame where she's going to be in there. How do I do this? What do I do here? What do I, like that, back and forth.
Well, you simply.
Chauncey, I've got to go pick her up from school.
Oh,
Okay.
I gotta get going too.
And
No, I gotta get going too.
no, y'all finish up.
Okay, well, I don't know how to turn this off.
Well, don't worry about turning off. right
Okay,
here.
we'll just end the meeting. But anyway,
No,
I'm
it's okay.
here. Just let me know if you want to talk some more another time or
Okay.
whatever you want to do. Okay.
I have her phone number, and if we need anything,
Well, you can
jump on
try
a
it
call.
over the summer and see how it works and see how you can devote your
Well,
time, and we'll go from there.
I can tell you, I'm going to need some guidance, and I will be reaching out to you.
Okay.
All right.
I'm here
Yes,
for you.
yes,
All right, I
okay.
appreciate it.
and I'm
All
a little bit of a skeptic with him doing it, so you'll
Yeah.
have to be as more of a cheerleader than me.
But I know you'll be really supportive, Natalie.
Yes,
I know
you will.
I
know
will
you
try.
Yes,
I
you
will
will.
All right. Good job, you guys.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Good to
Chauncey.
talk to you. Good to meet you.
All
All right, you
too.
too.
Talk to you
Okay.
later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.